From over the weekend in the WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces were supposed to play the Washington Mystics in a game that was scheduled for 7 o'clock Eastern time. I'm going to take you through their travel misery. They had an 11 a.m. flight on Thursday. That was delayed multiple times. At 1:30 a.m., 14 hours later, they managed to fly to Dallas, got them halfway there. They couldn't get a connecting flight until noon the following day. They wind up arriving in Washington 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So you're talking about well over 24 hours of travel time and just 3 hours before the game was scheduled to tip off. So citing health and safety concerns, they informed the league they were not going to play in that night's game. And so everyone was trying to figure out solutions to this. What are we otherwise going to do? And in the end, yesterday, the league releasing a statement saying we worked extensively with the Aces and the Mystics to come up with a workable solution. And in the end, given the limited number of days remaining in the season and arena availability, we decided to delay the start of the game till 8 o'clock to give them as much time as possible. It didn't work out that way. And so while not ideal, the best available solution to accommodate the fans and the scheduling challenges, the Aces chose not to play, and so the result is a forfeit. So they wound up having to forfeit the game because of all of these travel concerns. Now, just how significant and consequential is this to the team? They have 5 games left in their season. They're 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. So you're talking about a critical defeat to take, but these are health and safety issues that they're dealing in here, and it sort of brings up a lot of question. So Amin Elhassan joins us here, covers basketball for us. Terrific, been in with us all week long. I'll give you the first thought on this. As you sort of heard this, that's another example of something that NBA teams don't have to deal with clearly, as they have their own planes, and it's not generally an issue.
But it still is a thing where there were circumstances outside of the team's control that prevented them from being able to participate in this match, right? So if we had a blizzard, right? It's happened. We have a blizzard, can't play the game. They reschedule it. If they can't reschedule it, they don't play the game. I think the Pacers, was it the Celtics, about 4 or 5 years ago had this where there was a blizzard or something that stopped that game from being played. They tried to reschedule it because of arena bookings and there's a concert on this night. They just couldn't do it. They ended up playing 81 games. You can look it up. The Pacers, I think it was the Pacers, played 81 games in a season once. I get it's a playoff race, but for them to have to forfeit for something that's not under their control. When you talk about they got to Washington at 4 o'clock, Jalen, what time's the first bus to the arena?
Probably.
For a 7 o'clock game.
And they would have pushed it back to 8
4
what it's
o'clock. They were going to push it back to 8.
They were going to push it back to 8
later.
That doesn't mean anything. An hour? Oh, thanks a lot. They give us an extra hour? That doesn't mean anything. Like,
I've been really vocal about my disappointment for how the WNBA athletes get treated like second-class citizens in relation to the NBA when they're a subsidiary. Okay, it's one thing to have them flying commercial, but it's another thing when they have travel issues to not make an accountance for them not being able to perform. You can't send an athlete out there and think 1 hour is going to be a big-time difference in your performance. Fatigue is when you get hurt. Mentally, physically, that's when injuries take place. Maya Moore, who's one of the greatest champions in basketball, male or female, a couple of years ago in the WNBA, she's making $45,000. Okay. Now, with the influx of gambling and the NBA continue to expand, if you want to help the popularity of that sport, you have to invest in it. And these are the type of things that continue to happen that continue to hurt their sport.
The forfeit thing's ridiculous. The forfeit thing is really unfortunate. But what happens is I think it starts to turn into this inequality conversation about the WNBA and NBA, and I expect to be super unpopular here, but the league doesn't make any money. Okay, that's why they don't have charters. And if you're saying, Jalen, that the WNBA should just be even more, I mean, like you call it a subsidy of the NBA.
Yeah.
You know, Adam Silver's commissioner came on. Everybody was all geared up to kind of go on the attack. I think it was the second question this show asked Adam Silver about the pay inequality between the WNBA and the NBA. And I'm sitting at home watching the show, and I love Silver's answer. He's like, it doesn't make any money, okay? Doesn't make any money. Attendance is bad. Like, certain owners can't keep these franchises in certain cities. So if you want it to just be this thing where the WNBA has to be a tab that's covered for by the NBA, okay, fine. But I think people have a really hard time asking the honest questions of why the league isn't as profitable because the interest level just hasn't been there.
Ryan,
the commissioner said it on this show.
Ryan, this is the thing. There's not a sport in this world where people are showing up for the owners or showing up for the building. They show up for the talent is the players on the floor, right? The BRI split in the WNBA is something like less than a quarter. They get 22%, 23% of basketball-related income. That's ridiculous. And the WNBA more uniquely equipped than any other sport for strike. You know why? Because most of them make most of their money in months outside of their season, right? Most of them play either in China or Turkey or somewhere in Europe, and that's where they make their salary, their real salary. That's how they pay their bills. That's how they feed their family. That's how they buy houses.
Right, but you're not going to get any owners into a deal unless the BRI split is so favorable to ownership and something they're still trying to establish. The same thing happened with the MLS. So this wasn't even about male-female. Like the MLS in the beginning, when they got MLS owners involved, they go, okay, like I'm not going to get destroyed in the beginning of this thing.
Right.
I guess I've just read and seen a ton of WNBA commentary where I go, some it's fair.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have forfeited. That's a joke. But you know, I don't know
like
that
the
now
idea that they should fly charter. I mean,
right? Like everybody's
so who's
supposed to have a charter plane.
That's a fair
for
question.
Is
that's
what
a fair question.
Well, even if they don't fly charter all of the time, maybe in this circumstance, when you at some point you can see this coming, and you say to yourself, if we're not, at some point they realize we're not getting out of here until after midnight, and at that point maybe, in fairness, someone can foot the bill for a plane to get them where they need to be to play their game in a reasonable time.
But what can't get underestimated in business is what helps you flourish a lot of times is your advertising, is your marketing, is your promotion that now drives the fan interest that you just described. And also for some of these guys that own teams, if you want us to look at your product favorably, you have to treat them better. And one of those things is a private plane. It's not that hard for them to do. A lot of these guys have so much money, having hours on a plane available for a WNBA team to fly from city to city, that's not very hard for them to actually make happen. It's more of a decision and a sacrifice than the actual financial ramifications of it.
I just don't think, you don't have to have a charter for every flight. Like you said, in that case, sure, but commercial works. G League teams travel, it works. It's just sometimes you just have to have common sense. Look, guys, they're not going to get it done.
Thing
we're not arguing. That's not what you're arguing.
Right.
That's
the
not an
forfeit
argument.
thing's really unfortunate.